Things have just taken a major turn for the Dallas Cowboys as we talk about a Cowboys X Factor player for this upcoming season and why he is off to a very slow start with the way NFL training camp and preseason have gone for him. We give you the latest right now on Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you tuning in to today's show. We've got a lot to talk about, bringing down kind of what's going on with this quote-unquote X Factor player. Before that, though, we noticed that almost 80% of you who watch these videos are not yet subscribed. Today is your day, my friend. We have more to cover. We are going to have hopefully some watch parties coming up with preseason and, of course, the regular season. Now, literally like a month away, less than a month away. So we got a lot coming for you. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay locked in here with us on Cowboys Digest. Now, we're going to talk about an article within an article in some ways. Now, this is from Dallas Cowboys SI, where they labeled a X Factor as being a concerning factor already in 2025, which is an interesting thing to say given we've played one preseason game and a couple of, training camp and OTAs, minicamp, all that stuff. And normally, I think there's an overwhelming part of Cowboys fans, and me included, who, when I first read kind of the X Factor of the Dallas Cowboys and a guy who was off to a concerning start, my mind went immediately to Mazzi Smith, because he is a guy who we have seen being a top-level draft pick and has not performed. Now, he has been wished and washed around by the Dallas Cowboys, trying to play different types of defensive linemen, and the way that he goes with one tech, two tech, all that kind of, insider information, the mumbo-jumbo of the way he's liked to be played upon, how much weight he has on his back. And it wasn't him. It wasn't the guy who we're talking about. You see, this is kind of a little bit of an interesting factor for it. Randy Gurzai of Dallas Cowboys SI kind of talked about it and said, quote, as for the roster, there are concerns on defense, Mazzi Smith, but they have enough talent on offense to make some noise. Of course, though, they'll only reach their ceiling if Dak Prescott stays healthy, end quote. Okay, so that gives us a little bit of a key that it's a part of the offense for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, so the offense is what we're looking at. And the health of Dak Prescott, right? Well, that's where we go to our answer on who they are talking about. Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report, who was listing X Factors across the NFL, had this, saying, quote, it's hard to imagine Dallas contending in the NFC East without a healthy and high-performing Dak Prescott. Therefore, the health and play of second-year left tackle Tyler Guyton will be critical, end quote. Tyler Guyton, that's a very interesting name to bring up as the Cowboys X Factor, especially since this article has come out after the fact that we know that, well, guess what? Tyler Guyton is an injured boy right now. He did not tear his ACL, thank goodness, but he has a bone fracture. It will not require surgery, and he was out 4 to 6 weeks. Now, this has been a couple of weeks since then, and as far as an update, it sounds like the most likely scenario could have him back for week 1. But the problem is this. If you look at Tyler Guyton last season, it wasn't exactly the greatest year for him. We kind of go to some PFF numbers here from Christopher Knox saying, quote, the 24-year-old largely disappointed as a rookie. Pro Football Focus graded him 115th overall out of 140 tackles, and he's currently dealing with a knee injury, end quote. And it's a problem. We know that Dak Prescott last season did not look good. Part of that was because of his health. But the other thing that we have noticed with the Dallas Cowboys, especially with Dak Prescott, is that his seasons tend to go like a roller coaster. One season he's up at the top winning MVPs or being in that talk, and the next season he's dropping back down, and it's like, what in the world happened? Largely part of that is the health of him, the ability of his wide receivers and the health of his wide receivers. The health and overall kind of vibes of the entire team is probably more important than you think. But a big part of that is how well his offensive line is stabilized from the beginning of the season. With Tyler Guyton being injured, it's an interesting part. Now, we do have a couple of updates on Guyton. First of all, we have this from Shoddy Season talking about what Brian Schottenheimer said about left tackle Tyler Guyton. He said that it was provided an update on his knee, and here's kind of the tweet. he had been participating in reps during their mock practices, the slow speed stuff, because he needs that mentally to kind of stay prepared. He's doing well, not putting a timeline on it, but I've been very pleased with what I've seen from him, end quote. Now, Schottenheimer praised Guyton's work ethic during the rehab, saying, quote, the intensity that he's attacking the rehab and the way he's working from a not formal second-year player, I'm very proud of him for that, end quote. Now, Coach Schottenheimer, when he was hired, and probably still to this day, kind of raised some eyebrows across not only the NFL, but us here as Dallas Cowboys fans, because I didn't exactly think it was the greatest hire. Now, I still don't believe it was the best hire the Dallas Cowboys could have made, but I'm kind of sensing a little bit of why maybe hiring internally was such a big portion of the deciding factor. Because specifically, they're trying to build a family-type atmosphere. And Coach Schottenheimer has done that. If you've listened to his media days, if you listen to him talking about these players, you understand that it is a very kind of team-like aspect. It is a very much a group that is hold together. And Tyler Guyton being talked about more by Schottenheimer here in a very positive light is a very good sign. Now, Jerry Jones also had a little bit of an update on Tyler Guyton. He said this kind of basically what I've said, he should be ready, but Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report has it saying, quote, franchise owner Jerry Jones said the possibility of Guyton playing in week 1, quote, looks good, per Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. But Dallas needs him to be healthy and play much better than he did last season, end quote. Which is true. They need him to be healthy because the offensive line, I believe I have it here if we can pull it up, is in a, I'm going to say, interesting spot. Tyler Guyton being the starting left tackle, there hasn't been a lot of word about what the plan is if he's not ready for week 1, because left tackle in some ways has been a little bit of a rotational spot, which that's kind of what you'd expect from preseason and training camp. I would probably say that we're going to see more from the next preseason game on what we're going to see on that left tackle spot. Obviously, Rob Jones is out for the season now. It pretty much sounds like Hassan Richards, Richards could also pop in there. We've seen him play left tackle. I personally like the thought of maybe bringing in Cornelius, who was a pick this year, 6th round, going in there and letting him play, especially since a 7th round pick in Phil Maffa was one of the better players we've seen in the preseason game this past week against the Rams. So I wouldn't mind kind of testing out our rookies, and they have done that to some extent. But I'd be very curious to see how this upcoming preseason game goes, because Schottenheimer talked about it. Against the Rams, it was not going to be we're playing this game to be good. We're playing this game to test out players, to do certain things. And now you can kind of be a little bit more aware of your surroundings and figure out what's going on. But to me, again, the X factor being Tyler Guyton, it's a fair one. I understand that the health of Dak Prescott is an important key. And if you look at the rest of the offensive line, it looks pretty solid. Terrence Steele has been I think, a little bit underrated. I think he's been fine. Tyler Booker on the right guard, Guru Beebe, Tyler Smith, all guys that I can pretty much trust. Booker being a first-round pick, I expect a lot out of him this season. But Guyton, again, he is probably the lone question mark on the offensive line. So I understand him being the X factor, but I think there's a lot of X factors on this team because of how horrible last season went with a 7-10 record and how high of expectations I feel like us as Cowboys fans have for this year, given the addition of George Pickens, given the ways and moves that Jerry Jones did this offseason. And so I posed the question to the people who are still here watching, because I know you are true Cowboys fans. Who is the Cowboys X Factor in this upcoming season? I want you to pick a name. Let me know down in the comment section if you want to go the extra step. Tell me why you believe he is the X Factor. I'm going to be looking. We always respond to comments here on Cowboys Digest. So get down there and let me know exactly what you are thinking. But who do you think the Cowboys' biggest X Factor is in this upcoming season? If you had to ask me, and I'm not going to say Tyler Guyton, I'm not going to say Mazzi Smith because I've mentioned them both in this video. I kind of have an oddball one, but I'm going to go with the entire running back room, because that is the X factor of this team. And I know it's not one player, but if Phil Maffa, if Jaden Blue can go out there, Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, if one of them, or even them as a collective group, can be a solid running force / one that I can trust, believe, and think that we have a good running back room in, that could change the outlook of this team, because the offense all of a sudden becomes much, much more two-dimensional than what right now I believe it is more of a passing game and the way that they're going to handle it. And I've talked about Kevontae Turpin, being in the running back spot. We've seen him doing that. There has been a lot of, let's say, interesting ways that Coach Schottenheimer's going to handle the offense. But as long as Micah Parsons is still in a Cowboys uniform, which as of right now he is, and as long as he plays, I trust in the Cowboys defense. Now, when he is off the field, that creates a different kind of question. If he decides he's holding out, if he decides that he's not going to play, if the Cowboys do end up trading him, whatever happens, that creates for a different conversation. But I think right now, the offense is the X factor, and specifically the running back room with Williams, Maffa, Blue, and Sanders. Not to mention, there's guys like Hunter Lipke who we could see, be in a fullback role that could help out as well. And I also talked about Kevontae Turpin potentially being a guy you can see in a Wildcat or something like that. So it's a lot of question marks, but I'm excited for this upcoming season. The X Factor will definitely show itself quickly on the season on somebody who maybe either probably needs to be a little better than what they were in games 1, 2, 3, and 4, and what needs to improve, or maybe heck, what needs to stay the same. We appreciate you watching here on Cowboys Digest. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us here. But for now, we're going to see you next time. Peace out.